Hi, this is Brandon Smiley from thirstgym.com. Today we're going to talk about an exercise called the Goblet Box Squat. This is one of our primary squatting variations that we use to teach the squat with all of our athletes and our personal training clients. The box squat, just in general, has a lot of benefits in terms of athletic performance, but also just working on movement mechanics, feedback for the client, and make sure we get the squatting pattern down correctly before we take the box away and do a traditional goblet squat or a front squat or a back squat or any other squatting variation. We're basically trying to break it down into the minor pieces so that the client or athlete can have immediate success and that we don't have to backtrack later on in other progressions and work on technical aspects. So some of our kids stick with this for a long period of time. We just see a lot of bang for our buck, and if we continue to see progress, we're not really going to change it. We also use it for athletes that are in season a little bit more than out of season, so that we can benefit from trying to bang them up with heavy squats all the time. This immediately reduces the amount of weight that we're able to use on a back squat. So from a teaching perspective, that's also a good thing that we can get that as well as the seasonality. So there's a lot of benefits to it. So you need some kind of box that you can squat on or squat to. Ideally, you're going to have a box that changes different heights. These from Elite FTS are fantastic. The wooden plyo boxes also have some merit. We have some of those. And then there's also, people use benches, which I don't like benches because they're not adjustable, but for some people you might be able to use a utility bench because it might be a good depth for them. But having something that's adjustable is ideal because you can change it on the fly. Working with multiple athletes, you can target specific spots for the kid if you have to, or for the personal training client for that matter. So there's a lot of benefits to the adjustability of a box as well. When it comes to teaching the Goblet Box Squat, we teach with the corner side out rather than having it flat here. We actually want them to not only feel a little bit secure, but when you go to sit back on the box, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to get more feedback from the box from sitting at an angle versus sitting here. Because if I had to get big and wide, this is too wide for most of our clients and our athletes. And then if I'm here, I feel that against my shins, and then it kind of creates a weird angle to start squatting in. Even if I push back here, that's a very awkward angle. Where here, this is a little more natural, where I can get my feet back and still sit back on the box. So we coach it with their feet a little bit wider than shoulder width, toes slightly turned out. We want them to feel the whole foot on the ground, so their feet need to be actually trying to do this. This is going to be a hard thing for a lot of your athletes or your clients to understand initially, but just tell them to feel the sides of their shoe, feel their whole foot in the ground. If we got that, that's pretty good. Then you can use other cues to help get them to actually spread the floor a little bit better, to be more balanced, more secure, more rooted into the earth or to the floor. Once they've got that and the knees are starting to track out, we coach them with their hands up here at their chest, because we know when we go to load it with a dumbbell, we're going to have the goblet position here with the dumbbell. So after we got our load or our hands here, we're going to coach them to bring their hips back. Knees are going to go out at the same time. And this is one of the only squatting variations where we focus on the back aspect. We want the athlete and the client to feel their glutes and hamstrings to take that load back as they're going back. So while a squat is definitely very quad heavy, the glutes and hamstrings are involved. Understand that from a box squat perspective, we're trying to get this loaded back and get this stuff working, because a lot of people have no glutes, no hamstrings, and they don't know how to load that posterior chain, and that's another benefit from this exercise. So as their knees go out and their hips go back, we're going to keep all that loaded, and then we're just going to control all the way to the box. We're going to emphasize that sit back. The knees are going to stay out. We want the angle of the shins to be relatively perpendicular to the floor. A minor shift forward I'm okay with, so like where I'm at right now, this is okay, but we don't want them sitting to where they're like this. And I can already tell them my heels are starting to come off the ground. I probably can't even do it. Heels off the ground. We want to really emphasize that sit back, and they're in a good position here. We don't want to relax on the box, so as when we get here, we want them to have a brief stop. They should still feel their butt, their knees are driven out, their feet are still on the floor. All of this is basically just a pause squat on the box. We're actually coming to a complete stop momentarily, and once we get here, then we're going to lead with our chest. We're going to come up tall, and we're still going to try to keep our knees out as much as we can while we root our feet into the floor and try to use our posterior chain and our leg musculature to drive us up. So as we go down here, brief sit, stand. Brief sit, stand. There. So then that would be where we would have our load. What you'll commonly see, kids will start off too narrow or maybe too wide, get their feet right. When they go down, they're gonna first do this, or when they go to touch the box, they're gonna do kind of this number. They're gonna briefly tap it and come back. We want them to come down, stop, and go. Down, stop, and go. The reason we want that is when we take that box away, we want them to be able to go down and up smoothly, but have a sense of gauge and idea of where that box used to be, and they can maintain that rigidity in the bottom to not only stay safe, but have better force transfer, and they're more controlled of their body in the most vulnerable position of the squat, which is in the bottom. They may not necessarily have to squat exactly to 90 degrees, depending upon your program and what kind of literature you read. We try to get our athletes close to 90 degrees. If they're a little bit off, okay, whatever, they're not power lifters. If we're working with a power lifter, then we're going to change that, obviously. But, you know, as long as we're getting close to that angle, then we're okay. And that's what the box serves its purposes for. When it comes to programming for this, we got a lot of different options. I would say that typically our programs are looking at 3 to 5 sets of 6 to 10 reps. This is one of our main strength exercises for our youth athletes. It's definitely our go-to exercise, like I've said, and it's where we pretty much start kids from the get-go. We don't really, unless if we know we get a good high school kid coming in that's got a good strength history, and after our assessment protocols, we realize that they've got the prerequisite strength to start doing something else other than goblet box squatting. That's a rare kind of circumstance. Most of the kids that are coming to us have zero strength training background, and what we're trying to pretty much do is start them from the ground up literally and get it right from the get-go. And then we use this all the time, whether it eventually can be an accessory exercise. It's also things that we put older kids back down to, but you know, we're obviously using a barbell or a safety bar or some other kind of squatting variation. So again, this exercise has a lot of merit. Use it, abuse it, find different variations to load it and have fun with it. But I do think that, you know, this is an exercise that can be commonly botched because of people will have a tap and go squat, their knees will come forward, they don't understand how to sit back into their hips and get the most bang for their buck from that exercise. So if you've got any questions, feel free to leave in the comment section. Thanks, have a great day.